What is good, internet? Welcome back to the Kyba Corp. Happy post E3 that is not E3. Happy post Summer's Gamefest. Today is Friday, June 12th, 2026. It is the Friday after the crazy week that we had with all of the game announcements from the PlayStation State of Play last Tuesday up into the Tuesday that just passed with the Nintendo Direct. I'm overwhelmed. We have so many games to play this coming rest of the year and next year and beyond. The reason why I'm making the video so late is because I was sick. Yes, my video is a little bit late because after the Nintendo Direct 3 days ago, I actually was admitted to the hospital on a Wednesday due to my sickle cell anemia. I had to get 2 bags of blood because my hemoglobin was a little bit low, but we're not here to talk about my health and why I wasn't able to make this YouTube video right after the Nintendo Direct on Tuesday. We're here to talk about the games that we saw at Summer's Game Fest. I have a list of games that I wrote down from all 4 presentations: the Sony State of Play, Summer's Game Fest, the Xbox Showcase, and the Nintendo Direct. I'm going to go through each presentation and probably give you guys my favorite one from each presentation, just so the video won't be too long. But I'm ready to get into the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Sit back, relax. These are my top favorite games that I want to play from Summer's Game Fest 2026. Up first was Sony's presentation, and this one was the one that had the least amount of announcements that I wasn't too excited about, because they showed a lot of stuff that we already knew was coming out this year and later on next year and beyond. But there were a few things that stuck out to me from Sony's presentation. They had about an hour-long presentation, and they had a good bit of third-party games and some really cool first-party games too. But one of the games that really stuck out to me was a game we already knew about, which was Marvel Token, which I've talked about on this channel already before several times. Have a few videos on Marvel Token and why I'm excited about this game to come out. The game just looks really cool, really cool looking game. I believe they showed Dr. Doom's team was the team that they showed for the Sony presentation, which had Carnage, Dr. Doom, Magneto, and Green Goblin respectively for Dr. Doom's Marvel Token team. And all of the characters looked really dope. If I did pick this team to play as in Marvel Token, I'd probably main Magneto out of all of the 4 that they showed in that trailer. Looks really dope, looks really cool. Marvel Token is one of the games that really stuck out to me from Sony's presentation last Tuesday. The next game that stuck out to me from Sony's State of Play was Tomb Raider: The Legacy of Atlantis. I think this one is a remake of one of the older Tomb Raider games that was on the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1 back in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't remember which Tomb Raider this game is a remake of, but it is a remake of one of the older Tomb Raider games. And like I said, Sony had stuff that we already pretty much knew about. A lot of stuff was leaked from the Sony presentation, so me going into the presentation wasn't really like that much jaw-dropping for me. But Tomb Raider looks really good. It's a reimagining or a remake of one of the older Tomb Raider games. Can't wait to see what this one entails and what this one is like. I don't think I ever played this one growing up as a kid. I don't even think my brothers played this one growing up as a kid also. But Tomb Raider is the second game that really caught my eye from last Tuesday's Sony State of Play from Summer's Game Fest. There were other games that were in the presentation that I wrote down, like the Ace Combat game looked really cool, and Control Resonant looked really cool too, but I'm going to save Control Resonant for the Summer's Game Fest presentation because it was also there, and I don't want to put a game that we saw several times in this weekend's festivities in this video multiple times. But there were other games that caught my eye from the Sony State of Play. The God of War thing looked pretty cool, but I'm not really a God of War fan. There was a whole lot of other stuff that they showed. Rayman was pretty cool, but I'm not really a big Rayman fan. But I got a few games from the Sony presentation that caught my eye, which were Marvel Token and Tomb Raider. The second presentation was the actual Summer's Game Fest live show presentation that was on Friday. And this presentation was the longest presentation out of all 4 of the presentations that we had for Summer's Game Fest in total. This one was a total of 2 hours long, and they had, I think, over 40 games that they showed us. I have a list of 10 games here, but I'm going to put my top 3 that got me the most hype during the presentation, because just for the sake of this video not being too long, I'm going to do my top 3 and mention some of the honorable mentions that I have on this list also. But that first one goes to Gundam Rogue Orbit. When I saw this game, I was geeking out. I was telling my chat that this was a Gundam game, and they were like, if it is a Gundam game, they're not going to call it Gundam. If you guys want to see the clip of me going crazy about it being a Gundam game after I told them it was a Gundam game, my TikTok is down below in the description for you guys to check out. That video is hilarious. But Gundam was mind-blowing. This comes from Bandai Namco. They're making a dark dystopian hack and slash Gundam game. It looks like Armored Core a little bit to me, and like Daemon X Machina. I thought it was both of those games at first, but then when I saw the picture of the Gundam flash, because Summer's Game Fest's presentation was kind of acting funky for everybody, it kind of blacked out right when they showed the Gundam, but then they showed like the face of the Gundam, and I was like, that's a Gundam, dude. That it's not anything else. And then when they showed the title screen of it being Gundam Rogue Orbit, I lost my mind. Can't wait for this game to come out. It comes out sometime next year, I think, for pretty much everything. This game looks dope. Gundam Rogue Orbit was one of my most hyped presentations that they had at the Summer's Game Fest, and this was one of my favorite ones that they showed at the presentation. Really hyped for this game to come out. Can't wait to see more about this game in the coming months leading up to the release of it. The second game that got me really hyped when I saw it announced at the Summer's Game Fest was the last running game made by Platinum Studios. They made Bayonetta, they made Nier Automata, they made Metal Gear Rising. They made so many really dope games, and I didn't understand that this was the Ninja Turtle Ronin game that they were talking about years ago actually being shown off at the Summer's Game Fest. It's by Paramount Studios. They're gonna be making it. Whatever you guys think about Paramount Studios, that's a different story. But when I saw this and they announced it as the last Ronin, I jumped out of my seat. This is crazy. It was rumored to be in development, and it's true. It's in development, and it's coming from Platinum Games, who are the goats of a hack and slash. Can't wait to see what this game is about. Last Ronin was number 2 most hyped presentation that I saw at Summer's Game Fest this year. And of course, the most hype announcement for me at the Summer's Game Fest presentation was the game I thought we were going to see at the PlayStation State of Play, but they actually saved it for Summer's Game Fest on that Friday. And if you know me, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I've been anticipating the Monster Hunter Wilds DLC. And lo and behold, when Jeff Keighley said that they have a trailer for a series that has been on this platform several times, I lost my mind. I went crazy. They showed off Monster Hunter Wilds DLC, which is called Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance. It's going to be coming out next year, 2027. I'm fine. I could wait. I have a ton of games to play in the meantime while I wait for probably my favorite game of this year. I have over 1,500 hours in the game. I can't wait to play the expansion to Monster Hunter Wilds. This was the most hyped thing for me. Out of all the other games that I have written down on my list, this one was the one that made me lightheaded when I was watching the presentation. A clip for that is also on my TikTok if you guys want to see that reaction, also down below. There were a ton of other games that I'm going to rapid fire through. There was the Cuphead game, the Last Ronin game, Control Resonant was on this one, Guild Wars 3, both Star Wars games, the Galactic Racer 1 and the Rogue Company game, Virtua Fighter 6 looks pretty cool, Wolf Among Us 2. So many games in the Summer's Game Fest presentation because it was 2 hours longer and they showed us so much stuff, but I gotta give it to Monster Hunter Ascendance, The Last Ronin, and the Gundam game, which were the most hyped games that I saw at Friday's Summer's Game Fest presentation. Sunday was Xbox's time to shine with their presentation, along with the Gears of War E-Day presentation afterwards. I have more than 10 games for Xbox, which is kind of crazy because I never have more than a few games that caught my eye for Xbox's presentations because I don't own Xbox, but I do have a PC and I have played Game Pass. which most of these games are all coming to day one with the Game Pass also. But my top 3, I'm just gonna go through it. Number 1 has to go to Persona 6's reveal. Now this one was kind of leaked earlier in the week for me, so I kind of was anticipating to see this one. It wasn't really like anything they showed. They just announced that Persona 6 is coming sometime in the future. The reveal trailer was actually pretty cool. I have a reaction for this one also on my TikTok, which is blowing up also. So if you guys want to check the one out too, like I said, down below, the link for that's down there. But Persona 6, really cool. I love Persona 5. They did do a Persona 4 revival trailer, which also looks pretty dope, which is on this list also for me to check out this year. I believe it's coming out this year. But Persona 6 is on this list of things that Xbox showed me on Sunday that I thought was pretty cool. Can't wait to see more on this game and when we're going to get more information for this game. Persona 6. This next game is really weird for me because I haven't played the other ones in this series. The other 2 games in this series, I don't really like how they play, and I didn't like them how they looked in the first place. But Resident, A Plague Tale was a game that blew my mind at the Xbox presentation on Sunday. I thought it was Assassin's Creed. Me and my buddy who we were reacting with in the stream with, we both thought it was Assassin's Creed from the movement and the gameplay that you're seeing on the screen right now. But when they announced that it was a Plague Tale game, we both were surprised because of how good the game looked, because the other 2 games don't play anything like this. Apparently this is a prequel to the other 2 Plague Tale games, Requiem and I forget the name of the first game. But I'm excited for A Plague Tale Resonance to come out later on this year. A lot of games with the name Resonant or Resonance in this year and next year also, which is kind of weird, but I guess that's the word of the year, I guess. But A Plague Tale Resonance, or Resonance of Plague Tale, is number 2 on the games that caught my eye for Xbox's presentation on Sunday. Number 3 from Xbox is a game that we've seen many times already this year. They first announced this game at the Sony State of Play early on in the year, and I think it was like in February of 2026. But it's Castlevania Belmont's Curse. I keep calling it the Curse of Belmont, but you guys know what I mean. I am so excited for Castlevania to come back because we haven't had a new Castlevania in so long. Hollow Knight has been kind of taking over that Metroidvania atmosphere for the past couple of years, and I love Hollow Knight, but now the real makers of Metroidvania are back with Castlevania Curse of Belmont, or Belmont's Curse. I'm sorry. This is my number 3, which I didn't want my chat to talk at all when this game was being shown off because they didn't show us a lot from the first 2 trailers that they showed us before early in the year, and they gave us a lot more context this time around. So I'm excited. I'm very hyped. I love Metroidvanias. Castlevania is a really cool series. I played a few of them growing up. Can't wait for Castlevania Belmont's Curse to come out later on this year in October. October 15th is when it comes out. I'm getting that physical edition for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm going to enjoy this game. Can't wait for Castlevania's Curse of Belmont to come out later on this year. Also, just to rapid fire a little bit more of the games that I did see at Xbox's presentation, because I'm only doing the top 3 from each. There were a ton that we saw. I really did like the Fable stuff that they showed, even though we saw Fable already. Halo looked pretty cool. The Persona 4 remake, State of Decay 3 was finally shown off with some gameplay. The Join Us game looks pretty cool. There was this new IP called The Magician or something like that. Vivarium looked really cute. Spyro is coming back. Spyro looked really good. Persona 6, like we already said, looked amazing. Xbox blew that out of the park. I thought they were like the second best presentation of the entire summer's Game Fest. But let's get into the final presentation, which is Nintendo. And last but not least, we got the Nintendo Direct, which happened on Tuesday. And unfortunately, right after Nintendo Direct, I had to go to the ER because I was so lightheaded from my illness, making me very drained and weak for the past week. But we got some bangers in this Nintendo Direct. It was super cool, super dope. The first game that really caught my eye for the Nintendo Direct was later on in the show, but it was another game with resonance in its name. Final Fantasy Resonance was shown off at the Nintendo Direct. I feel like this was a mobile game that they're bringing to consoles now and making it a big extravaganza in the HD 2D art style, which looks pretty dope to me. Some folks hate the HD 2D art style, but I personally love it. Can't wait to see what Final Fantasy Resonance is all about and to experience this game with all of the iconic Final Fantasy characters in this game. Looks pretty dope. Looks really cool. Can't wait to play this one. This was the first game that really stuck out to me in the Nintendo Direct, along with a few other ones. Okay, so I might have lied. One of the first games that they shown at the Nintendo Direct was Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen. And when they were showing this game, I was confused because I was like, Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't have a Dark Arisen. There's just Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, which is the first game. And I didn't notice that this was the confirmation of the DLC that we've been asking for the past 2 years, that is coming out later on this year in October. Dragon's Dogma fans are eating. The hopium was real. We hoped and prayed and wished for a DLC for Dragon's Dogma, because Dragon's Dogma 2 was such a great game. I spent so many hours on my stream playing this game. I begged Capcom. A lot of us Dragon's Dogma fans begged Capcom for a DLC to Dragon's Dogma. And they're calling it Dark Arisen again this time. I think because Dragon's Dogma 2 is originally supposed to be a spiritual successor to the first Dragon's Dogma, but that's besides the point. I'm so happy for all of my fellow Arisen. I'm so happy that we didn't give up hope on Dragon's Dogma 2's DLC, because it is here. We are getting it in October. I was surprised. I was like, Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen? There's no such thing. I thought they were just announcing Dragon's Dogma for the Nintendo Switch 2 and just calling it 2 Dark Arisen, like a definitive edition. But nope, it's the DLC. We're getting the Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC. I'm hyped. I cannot wait. This was one of my favorite games of 2024. Can't wait to jump back into the world and explore the new region and everything. Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen. So hyped at the Nintendo Direct. Thank you, Nintendo. I prayed for this and it happened. Thank you. And to round it all off, the icing on top of the cake, the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake, was Xenoblade Genesis. After they had already announced that we're getting HD enhancements and Nintendo Switch 2 versions of Xenoblades 1, 2, and 3 with new content in all 3 of them. And then Koizumi, Uncle, he said we have an addition to the Xenoblade franchise. Take a look. And I was going crazy. I was like, Xenoblade 4? Xenoblade Chronicles 4? My chat thought it was a Tales of game because it does look like a little bit of a Tales of game, but I knew it through and through that this was Xenoblade because he said Xenoblade at the beginning of showing this presentation or whatever. And lo and behold, Xenoblade Genesis. They're not calling it Xenoblade Chronicles Genesis, which is kind of confusing. Maybe this is a game that's coming out to be a prequel of the Xenoblade Chronicles games, but nonetheless, I'm excited. This probably was one of the best presentations that they've had ever. This is one of the best announcements at a presentation that they've ever had. More hype than Xenoblade Chronicles 2 reveal, more hype than Xenoblade Chronicles 3 reveal. There was a bunch of other stuff, like there was the Legend of Zelda remake, which was in this presentation. They had the Onimusha stuff coming to Switch. Orbitals looked really cute. The One Piece Grand Gourmet game looked really cool. Fire Emblem looked really cool. Star Fox, we already knew about that. Final Fantasy, we talked about that earlier. Dragon Quest Monsters and Splatoon Raiders. Everything in the presentation looked really, really cool. But my top 3 have to go to Final Fantasy Resonance, the Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen DLC announcement, and Xenoblade Genesis. I think Nintendo cooked. They also had Kingdom Hearts 4 in every Kingdom Hearts game coming to the Nintendo Switch properly this time, not the cloud versions. We're getting the Kingdom Hearts games properly now on the Nintendo Switch, which they should have been there before, but that's actually dope too. And that's gonna do it for the video. I didn't want the video to run too long because there were a ton of games that they shown, and if I would have went through all of them, this video would have probably been 30 minutes long or longer than that. But these are the top 3 games that I liked from every single presentation that we had at Summer's Game Fest of 2026. We had the Sony State of Play last Tuesday. Last Friday was the Summer's Game Fest presentation, which was pretty cool. Sunday was the Xbox presentation, and then Tuesday that just happened was the Nintendo Direct. Like I said, I'm sorry my video was a little bit late, but I had health issues to take care of first. Health before content, always. But I have another video for you guys sometime in the near future. Let me know you guys' favorite announcements that you saw from this year's Summer's Game Fest presentation. The E3 that's not really E3. That's what my friends were calling it on Twitter, which I thought was pretty funny. Let me know what you guys' favorite announcements were from E3 that's not E3 down below in the comments. If you guys want to come hang out with me on Twitch, I stream every week, Monday through Thursday, 12 Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to come hang out and watch me geek out about video games, check me out there. Also, all of the reactions to the games that I was talking about are down below in my TikTok in the description. I have another video for you guys sometime in the near future. I'm your boy Kyba. Make sure you guys believe in the heart of the cards. Stay easy, be breezy. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do. See you guys in the next one. Peace.